James Earl Jones remained virtually mute for 8 years of his early life because of a stammer. Today, his regal bass has become one of the most recognizable voices in America. The Tony, Grammy, and Emmy Award-winning actor has enjoyed a brilliant career in theater, and film, and television. He currently stars in the film adaptation of Alan Patton's 1946 classic, Cry the Beloved Country. It is the first film to originate from the newly democratic nation of South Africa, and we are very pleased to have back here James Earl Jones. Welcome, sir.
It's like introducing the greatest runner in the world. He walks on and falls flat in his face.
Yeah, you better be good, Jones.
No, I don't try to be good. No, I just try to be clear. And I'm a stutterer, and the instrument is impaired, and I'm happy that anything comes out with clarity. That's all.
Well, you know it does. Tell me about this role for you and your hesitance, even in the beginning, to say...
It wasn't hesitancy about the role. It was about the whole story. I didn't know how, given the impatience of young black people in South Africa and the extreme patience of the character, how they would accept it, you know, without calling it Uncle Tom or something like that. And I didn't want that to happen. And Anand Singh said, "We'll just wait until apartheid is over."
He's the director.
Yeah, the producer. Yeah,
producer.
Directed by Del Root.
Right.
But and he was, I don't know whether he knew apartheid was ending or not. I thought apartheid would be there forever and wouldn't die, and I thought the Afrikaners would drop an atom bomb first. You know, I really was despaired about that. But he was right, and Mandela was right, and Mandela walks out with a gentleness. He could have been storming out like the Black Pimpernel, which was his legend, you know, but he came out gently. So this film, in a way, is a celebration of that gentleness and that spirit of reconciliation, not only for that society, but for this one as well.
This one being America.
Yeah.
How so America?
Well, I would say the movie catches South Africa when they seem to be coming together, catches us as we seem to be coming apart. But I must emphasize seem. I don't think we're coming apart. But a lot of things are going on that has to do with pus from wounds. That have been happening lately, and sort of a rage that's undefined and has no direction, you know. And we're making a lot of mistakes in that so-called rage. I think rage is a noble emotion. This is something else. This is a bit of psychosis, I think, you know.
The psychosis that America feels in terms of...
Well, you know, I did a speech at the Yale Political Union recently, and I tried to compare the militia, the right-wing militia, to the old Weathermen, the old left-wing militant groups
in the 60s,
and to imply that they all germinated from the same seed of discontent, you know, and that sort of discontent, I think, is festering now.
A notion that there's no way that I can legitimately change the society that I think is wrong, and so therefore I have to find some extra legal means.
When blue-eyed, blonde Tim McVeigh finds there's no hope for him, I mean, he was supposed to inherit all the best that was America. Yeah. And when he feels hopeless, then we got to pay attention to what's going on. But that's I call that pus. That's unresolved pain, unresolved anger, you know. And but I think aside from that, we're moving ahead, and we.
Where do you see
like South Africa? Oh, it's
awful. I'll come back to South Africa, but stay in the United States. I just saw, last night I happened to see Elie Wiesel, who just returned from Japan, and he said he chaired a thing where they had a group of Nobel laureates talking about where is the hope in the world today. Where do you see the hope in America to heal whatever the pus is, whatever the conflict is, especially between have and have not, and between black and white?
I walk out the door, and there's a guy delivering mail every day without complaint. He's got a job. He respects his job, you know. And he might not ever be president, but he's participating in the society, not earning a lot of money, but he's not selling crack, you know. And I say, that's the hope in the simple people that go about their lives. And that's the majority of the people. Yeah. Go about their lives. And,
simply wanting
yeah, they have needs, and they're wanting.
Food, shelter, education for their children, and a better life.
A better life, yeah.
You know, not an extraordinary life, just a better life.
Those in Bosnia, those in Somalia, those, you know, in South Africa, yeah. And South Africa has the same problems that they had before. before democracy. But at least now the problems of that to be solved rather than ignored. You know.
There is a line that your character, I think, speaks in the film in which she says, "I have a great fear in my heart, while whites," and help me with this, "while whites find love in their hearts, the blacks will have already turned to hate."
That has happened to some extent here. And I call that the psychosis, where racism is contagious. And blacks have always said, we're not racist, but I'm sorry, we are. And that is a form of insanity. And in South Africa, though, you had young people who were burning down schools and burning books, and for real reasons, because apartheid schools and books were teaching how to accommodate apartheid, how to live with it, how to accept it. And they should have burnt those books in the schools. But now Mandela has to get them to revere education again, and to use that as a tool for advancing their lives, for a better way of life. We have the same problem here. There is young black people saying, well, to get an education, to talk straight is acting white, you know. The stupidest way you can throw away, the only tool you have, because without that, there's no way to advance.
What responsibility do you feel with a good brain and a powerful voice and a strong presence to somehow reach out to those young?
No, I have to do it in my work. I can't do it as a politician or an activist. I don't do that well. Partly because I can have a conversation with you that might be meaningful, might be, you know, hot air, I don't know, but I can't do that in public. I can't hold forth. I'm not facile with words. I can do other people's writing, you know.
Yeah.
I can do Alan Payton's writing, Arthur Fugard's writing.
You could have read this script. You could have read this script a lot better than I could. Is that why you were laughing at me when I tried it the first time?
I love your energy, you know? which is a part of it, you know. Kick it off, you know.
Yeah, I sort of boomed out here. James Earl Jones. I mean, your voice is. I mean, you and few people have this great bass. I mean, not many people are. Were you born with that?
One can train in opera, of course. They do train for it, but I think the natural bass is quite rare in society. I know of only 4 people: Paul Robeson, my father, Jeffrey Holder, and myself. And now there are other people, of course. And I'm talking about the black guys, you know.
Your father knew Paul Robeson.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And that influenced you to become an actor.
Well, I'm not sure. Yeah. I took the name Todd Jones after Todd Duncan, who was a stage.
Was your dad's name Robert Earl?
Robert Earl.
Robert Earl.
Yeah, he is Robert Earl Jones. He still acts. He ran the Manhattan Marathon a few weeks
ago.
How old is he? He's 86.
And he ran in the marathon?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he still has that booming voice?
Oh, yeah.
Robeson was a hero.
Yes. I think the most committed human being that ever lived. I discovered another one in Vernon Johns, and somebody I did not know about.
You played his life. He was a minister.
We played at it. We played a bit of it, yeah. But I think that story is yet to be explored. And there's some wonderful sermons that he wrote, and one that's been recorded. It's the Romance of Death. The man believed in education. He believed that he learned Greek and Latin even before school, and he challenged all of us.
What did he say in that sermon, The Romance of Death?
About not just accepting death, but seeing it as the end of a great life. Yeah. You have to have a great life before you die, you know. Somehow, you have to bring something to the world. He felt that if you didn't contribute, didn't produce something in the world, you were a parasite. And about a lot of black people, because they had gotten, you know, through Tuskegee, and they had got their degrees, and they were teaching in colleges. And he said, no, you got to do more. You got to produce. So he was dumped with the idea that they would take on young Martin Luther King, and who was more malleable, they thought, you know.
Right.
That is the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church.
Didn't turn out to be that way, but He lived to what age, Vernon?
Vernon John. I don't know the age he was.
Yeah.
He gave us.
Did he live to see the Civil Rights Revolution?
Yes,
accomplish the goals accomplished in terms of the civil rights legislation.
He lived to see the media catch on to the drama of that movement, you know, with Martin and the bus boycott and Rosa Parks. But he had by then stepped aside. He was kind of a bohemian, you know. He would get on the road and almost undercover. He'd wear raggedy clothes. But when he dressed up, he was a very handsome, glamorous man, you know.
Yeah.
And
one of your favorite roles?
yeah, well, one of my favorite people. I want to know him better. He made me understand Christianity in a way that I never understood.
What did you understand from what he taught you about it?
Well, in that sermon, it's a bit complicated. I'd rather
okay. But it basically
read the sermon someday.
But he taught you about faith?
Oh yes, yeah, real faith, you know? And how one participates in life, not just in the name of Christ, but in the name of mankind, in the name of.
Let me turn back to Alan Paton and Cry the Beloved Country. The book is about forgiveness, is it not? It is the story.
That is a theme that evolves out of it. It is about two men and who both lose a son. And the black father discovers that his son is corrupt, and he destroys the son of a white bigot.
An
And the white bigot, he's English really.
Right.
The white bigot discovers that his son was a hero, was a good man. And the irony is that my son would kill his son. That weighs on Stephen Kamalo, the priest, very heavily. And so when they confront each other, he's really in need of forgiveness as much as the need to give forgiveness, you know.
Richard Harris plays Jarvis.
Yeah. I made sure that I didn't get to know Richard until that scene was over.
Why?
I didn't want to become too comfortable with him, you know.
Because it would...
That comfort would have left the edges not as raw as they should be. I mean, I had to confront that man as if I didn't know whether he was going to kill me or hug me or what, you know. And
because he
no way to
knew
do
that your son had killed his son.
Yeah.
Because...
And I need more than he does. And I need forgiveness.
Why do you need forgiveness?
Stephen Kamalo, a Zulu,
right,
but an Anglican priest, was a very simple man. And that I understand. He was a rural person with none of the sophistication or political awareness. Peyton did a very interesting thing. He gave Stephen Kamalo a brother, John Kamalo, who was very hip, very aware, and very activist, you know. And so he didn't have to compromise either character. He could leave them both as prototypes at each end of the pole. And the young priest, which was the Sidney Poitier role in the other film.
In black and white.
Yeah. Great film, by the way. All they lack is a Jarvis, which we have in Richard Harris.
You thought that they ought to be seen together almost.
Oh, I wish they could, yeah.
Almost in tandem.
That's like a school project, I guess, you know. But it could be very entertaining as well. To see them not in contrast, but in support of each other.
Sidney did not play the character you played.
He played the young priest.
He played the young priest,
who has a foot in both camps, the camp of peace and the camp of activism as well. You know?
Yeah. How is your characterization of Stephen Kamalo different than, was it Canada that played him?
Canada Lee, yes.
Canada Lee.
He was a stalwart oak.
A stalwart oak.
A stalwart oak. As glorious as Sidney was, that stalwart was Canada. And I knew I couldn't bring that to it, but I was in touch with the simplicity that I know from my people in Mississippi and Michigan, the farming people. I mean, my first visit to a city was at the age of 14. I got mugged every day and didn't know what it was. You know, that's how green and unaware I was.
What did you think it was?
Well, some other
Is the way
guys
they
wanted my
behave
money.
here.
That's
Yeah,
all.
okay,
And I
yeah.
gave them the money. The idea of fighting over it never occurred to me, and I guess that's what saved my life. But then it was not as dangerous to get mugged in those days as it is now. But that unawareness and that lack of any defense against what the urban world can dump on you, which includes degradation, and not just racism, but all the harsh things that happen. And I guess Alan Paton was a bit anti-urban in a way.
Mm. This book was written in 1946 or 8, wasn't it?
It's set in 1946, 2 years before apartheid became official.
Yeah. So when he wrote it, he did not know that apartheid would come to an end. Had no way.
He probably knew. He was very active. with the Liberal Party.
He established it, didn't he?
Yeah. And I think he represents, in the movie, he is the Evans character.
Yeah.
Very dedicated, a good man, very dedicated to helping the youth in their troubled times. You know.
The book was an instant classic.
Yeah.
I mean, people all over the world said this was their first view and understanding of how awful. It was pre-apartheid.
It doesn't show the horror of it so much as it shows the simple reality of it, how mundane racism is, how easy it is for the Chavis to say, oh, man, they live in their world, we live in ours. It's so easy. That's the worst kind of racism, is the easy racism.
Kind of benign neglect.
Yeah, worse than that. It's just sort of a dumb kind of and that's what he knew. His story preceded apartheid by 2 years. I think he knew. I think it was around that time that didn't Smuts have a campaign to bring in one man, one vote, and that terrified the right wing so much that they really marshaled their energies, and all the guys that had been
codified it and enshrined it
during World War II all came together.
When you went there to make this film, what impact did being there and making this film and walking with the people of South Africa have on you?
Well, I tried to reserve judgment. The first thing that hit me was the infrastructure that had been left there. That is, part of the legacy of the English and the Dutch. You're quite impressed by the architecture, the efficiency of the roads, and so on. All things which you can have with cheap labor, easily. But driving along, coming from the airport into Johannesburg, people reaching out the window, 40 miles an hour to shake hands with an actor they'd seen on TV.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. That Charles Dutton and James Earl Jones, they knew who we were.
Yeah.
From American TV,
And they were reaching out just to touch.
Yeah, but just to say welcome, and white and black people, just to say welcome.
You obviously know and have spoken to the greatness of Mandela. What is it about this man that spent 27 years in prison and came out the way he did and has now become the president of the country?
Because I guess he had a choice. He could have come out storming. He came out gentle. That was one major choice.
And that's an act of strength.
I think so. Oh, yeah. He has great power, and he could have came out wielding it, but he wanted to share that power. He wanted to, the ANC was always a group, a democratic group, really. It was we, never I, but we.
Yeah. But the right wing in America used to say they were all communist.
They still would like to say that, but it's irrelevant now.
Sure, it was proven otherwise, obviously.
But the right wing over there still use that as a battle cry, and it's stupid.
When they would oppose sanctions, they always say.
And the sad thing about it is you throw away what is good about a left-wing philosophy. That is what is usable, what a society needs. You throw it away out of this paranoia.
You're hopeful about South Africa today?
Oh yeah.
Because it's democratic, because Nelson Mandela, when he comes to New York, spends a great deal of his time on Wall Street. He's looking for investment, because he wants people to come there, because the best thing they can do is provide jobs, is offer people the thing that you said in the beginning of this conversation, what most people want, a place to earn a living in dignity, provide for their family, and hope that they get an education and have a life better than they've had. And you do that.
I think South Africa is not too different from Russia. You have a society where there's been denied incentive for so many generations. Then you say, no, you have freedom. They say, well, okay, what do we do with it? They need guidance. We need to bring more there than we take away. And there are a lot of retired businessmen who are going there as counselors to help people learn the tradition of making it. And producing.
Have you? What about white South Africans? What are they? What's their attitude today?
They're learning humility. Something they never thought they'd have to learn. They're learning it.
And they're learning it's not as bad as they feared that they're not going to be.
Yeah.
Their worst fears are not going to come true.
I think they're concerned as to who will replace Mandela when he decides to, say, I've done enough.
Yeah.
But then the Chris Hani, they bumped off. He could have been an inheritor. But they're good people there. They're good people that will continue that legacy.
Great writing has come out of South Africa too.
It's like the Lorca of oppressive Spain, or the Faulkner of oppressive Mississippi. Somehow you put enough pressure, you get coal and then gold and diamond.
Yeah, right.
I think I thought Fugard was a certain brilliance, and because he was forced to write, and in no way use polemic, because he'd be accused of trying to overthrow the government, he had to write, just give the audience the experience. Is the best way to convey an idea is through their feelings, through the experience of the characters.
Is there any one that you want to play? There's, either a role or a character that you say. Colin Powell, who had visions of you playing his life at some point. Is there someone?
No, he's offered to play my life.
Or he plays your life, yeah. He'd probably like that. And since he's turned it back,
Charles Barkley playing me as a young man.
And Denzel as a young man, and then Barkley as a little older. And any characters? You'd like to come back to?
I'd like to do King Lear again.
Would you really?
Yeah.
Why can't you? Is there any reason? Are you offering it every day? Is it?
Theater is very difficult to mount. It's very, very expensive and very risky.
With you as King Lear, that's risky?
Well, so-called stars don't make box office anymore. They might help.
Yeah. For
instance, Anand Singh was determined
the
to
filmmaker
use
here.
International cast. The Jarvis would be Europe.
Richard Harris played Jarvis, right?
Yeah, and the two Kamala brothers would be Americans because he wanted to be an international cast to attract international attention.
He's an interesting guy because he makes these sort of what some would call B movies.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
And he uses and he sells them the video rights, which is the secret to those movies, I guess. Not so much what they do in the theater, but how they sell. And he uses that money to make movies like this, they say. And that he's a savvy businessman as well as filmmaker who has both something he desperately wants to do like this and had the intelligence and the patience to wait.
But what those B movies did, they have created a whole what do you call it? Pool of talent, technical and acting talent over there. That's quite amazing. The director of photography you never heard of. You should have, because he's brilliant. He's
very good. Yeah, but he's from South Africa.
Yeah.
What's
he had a little 2-year-old daughter, and she's running around the grass. I said, "What? Is she gonna get ticks? Chiggers and stuff?" He said, "No, she's African. Little blonde girl. She's African. She's got to get used to this stuff,
Do you still think of yourself, even though you grew up in Mississippi, went to the University of Michigan in the ROTC, and went on into the Army, served a couple of years in the Army, made your way to New York, theater. Do you think of yourself in any part of you as a Southerner, as a Mississippian?
Oh, sure, that's part of my heritage. Yeah. And when I talk about the simplicity of Kamalo, that's where I learned it from.
You got it there.
Anybody with a middle name.
Earl.
It's often.
Yeah, James Earl Jones, like Billy Don Smith and all of that.
Bessie Mae.
Do you go back? Bessie Mae, Judith Ann, Sue Ann.
Do I go back? Not often. I was at Ole Miss recently and discovered a phenomenal thing there. The pharmacology department has a whole wing that's dedicated to preserving the biology, the botany around the world, all the stuff they were losing in the rainforest.
Do you spend a lot of time on university campuses? You mentioned Yale. Now you mentioned, because it's a venue you like, or simply a venue that wants you very much, so therefore you invite it a lot.
Well, sometimes they might want me, but I like going there. I like learning what they're learning.
I do too. I went down to the University of Virginia recently. I just loved it, to walk with students and to talk to them. And hear their enthusiasm and their freshness and all that. And sometimes you're not knocked over by what they know, but you are knocked over by just energy and curiosity and all of that.
And sometimes I'm shocked and surprised, too, that the black students want to segregate themselves
I
now.
am too.
And,
I
I don't understand it because they're betraying all that their parents fought for. But that they're going through something that I have yet to understand. Sort of
so separatism is not anything that James Earl Jones finds appealing at all.
No,
I mean, your passion for integration.
Very dangerous mistake, yeah.
What do you think of Farrakhan?
I shouldn't comment on him, you know. Okay. I wish somebody else had thought of that march, though, because it is a good idea.
The march was a powerful idea.
Frankly, the man smiles so much, I think he sees pie in the sky. I wonder what the pie is. That's all. That's all I'll say.
Roll tape, Cry the Beloved Country.
That was a little moment that sort of opened up to his humanity, you know. There were other moments that we had to lose because we had to edit and make things shorter, where he, rough edges about this man. He had a rage that he often let out on people close to him. Even his condemned son, his sister, which you do see in the movie.
Gertrude, who'd been the prostitute.
But he had mentioned of mountains. Zulus believe that the spirit imbues or is imbued into rock, into geology, you know. And so the going up to the mountain as an Anglican, yes, was to help pray his son into heaven, but also it had a much deeper meaning for a Zulu Anglican. That is, I guess we would call it some form of ancestor worship. Well, the spirit never really leaves you. The times that I've been there, and I've consulted shaman, not only in southern Africa but in East Africa. The genuine shaman always tell me that when you come to Africa, your ancestors swarm around you, and there's your mother over your shoulder right now, Ruth. And I don't know where you could know my mother's name, but these men they're divinators. They divine things. Whether they throw bones or whether they just simply go into a state of deep intuition. Probably use powers that we all have and ignore. But that's the only sort of route I think is available to me, is a spiritual one. I don't pretend there's a cultural route anymore or a genetic route. Those are all effectively severed by slavery, and I accept that. I must be a realist.
So the route that you have with Africa is spiritual?
Yeah, only spiritual. I ask these questions like, where did my ancestors come from? Just out of curiosity. It's not going to help my life any to know that. And a lot of us, I think, assume it will help our lives. It's like the young lady in Chicago 20 years ago. She had a dashiki on. I said, does it help you? She said, no, I still feel ugly. You know, and measuring herself against the faces on Glamour magazine and so on, she said, I still feel ugly. It doesn't help me. No. And I think that she was telling the truth. It will not help you. It is a sentimental journey. Alice Haley managed it because she had 3 words to connect them linguistically, but the rest of us don't.
What were the 3
and
words?
We shouldn't. I forget now. It was explored in
Roots.
Roots, yeah. Something about the river, and the place where the boy was captured, and one other thing. But I'm content to know that to accept that they all agree that I came either from Ghana or through Ghana. I could have been Congo, you know, brought in. That was the point of departure for the slaves, you know. That's all I need to know, and the rest is not relevant to my life, you know. What is relevant though is the continent of Africa, and we have to go there. I read a thing in Time magazine, I guess it was. A young journalist said that we tend to see it through. We want to put on rose-colored glasses. We blacks, Black Americans. We have to go there acknowledging all the problems that are there. We have to be realists. Look at the Nigeria, see that for what it is. I think Randall Robinson is on the right track.
Trans-Africa.
Yeah. But to look at
Nigeria just murdered.
Yeah. We have to see that. We can't.
Its greatest voice.
In the name of some sort of solidarity, excuse any of that, you know. And we tend to do that. So excuse Haiti because the Haitian monster is black or the Nigerian monster is black. That doesn't make any sense. That's why racism goes bad, I think. It goes wrong. Very, very dangerous.
Has it thwarted your life
I didn't know what my life would have been otherwise. I have no bitterness about anything that's happened to me, whether the career or whether my understanding of my people or them understanding me. No, it's all up for it's all open. It's all. I'm content to be out of step when I am out of step.
You think you're out of step today?
Oh yeah, usually am. I'm content with that. That's okay. You know,
Why do you think that is, though? Why is it?
Because I reject agenda. I think it's a why should I accept somebody else's agenda unless it's my idea? I don't believe that. You know? I can't contribute to it. I can't have faith in it unless it's my idea. Maybe that's selfish. I don't know, but I can't.
Could you argue that theater saved your life? That acting gave you something that?
I used to once say, kind of romantically, I guess, and this was part of my speech at Yale, that I came out of the Army toting everything I've trained to use, you know, and I thought that'd be what we call ethnic cleansing.
You were ready for race war.
Yeah. At least up here it was. I don't know about here, but and then I discovered the theater, and I discovered the theater at a time when there was a great upheaval, where people like Marlon Brando and Jimmy Dean had made theater. And Billy D. Williams, too, by the way, was sort of a protege of Jimmy Dean, had made theater a proletarian art. Every truck driver could see Marlon Brando and say, "Hey, I can do that." It was no longer the Barrymores, the elite. It was everybody could be an actor, and so we came into it. We blacks and we poor people and we Hispanics came into the theater in the '60s. And we were connected with the generation in England, the angry young men, and the avant-gardists in Europe too. I mean, it was a wonderful time. I didn't know it then, but looking back at it, it was a wonderful time of upheaval and growth. You know.
In the evolution of this career and all the awards and all the roles, and from Shakespeare to Vernon Johns to this part, would you change anything in that?
I wouldn't know how.
You would know how.
I wouldn't know how, and I wouldn't care. I'm very proud, and I feel very honored to have been in the theater and to have been able to make my living in it, and still do. And that's enough. I have no bitterness about what I didn't get and what didn't happen to me. I don't know what I didn't get or what didn't happen to me. I have no idea what that is. You know? And I don't waste my time and energy.
Not for a moment
fussing
said
about that. No.
You think Robeson did? Because
I don't know
came at a
whether,
different time, and also he had political leanings that led to his.
Yeah, he was so committed he couldn't turn back. He was like he couldn't make a U-turn.
Yeah.
Without betraying himself. I think Arthur Miller once said that you can't confess, you know, that you on outside American activities committed. I was wrong, and then in believe in yourself, you know. I don't know whether he missed the connection he had with the public. He had a wonderful. First time I saw him, I was literally rocked, as in a cradle, by his magnetic energy. And I don't know whether he understood that power. Not power, but that connection he had with people. He must have missed it during his days of extreme privacy.
Can you see that on film anywhere? Robeson.
Oh, you can see that in a movie that he probably would not be happy to take credit for. The Earl Jones.
Earl Jones.
Yeah, he's glorious.
You can see all of that.
Oh yeah. The kind of magnetism that we only associate with the young Marlon Brando. I mean, this man had all that stuff going.
But didn't you have that in The Great White Hope?
Oh no. That was very stringent.
Stringent.
Yeah.
But it was powerful.
Maybe powerful, but that was not me. An element of myself, an energy I found in myself.
Yeah. Then what would be best reflective of you?
Probably August Wilson's Troy.
Right.
Troy Maxim in his Fences. To some extent, Kumalo.
Stephen.
Rowe. But I think most of all, people like John Steinbeck's Mice and Men. That was me. After Fugard's Busman and Lane. I mean, the elemental men, which I always like returning to after playing something sophisticated. I want to go back to the people with their asses hanging out. And King Lear called them the elemental man. He said some of that in nicer language, you know, about Edmund. Here he is, you know, this man has nothing to lose, nothing to gain, but he's real. Those men are the ones that I cherish playing and
Thank you for coming.
cherish seeing. Thank you very much.
I cherish having you here. James Earl Jones, Cry, the Beloved Country. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll see you tomorrow night.